So I'm gonna go ahead and give the 1/8 mile to LT. That's my prediction. Now, the 1/4 mile. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In case you guys haven't heard, we are racing against LT Tolman and his Copo truck. LSA supercharged all-wheel drive single cab step side Silverado. It's a mouthful, ain't it? Well, not only is it a mouthful, but it's also a great all-around truck. Let's talk stats. You know, let's. So, the basics, okay? The basics. My truck is an NNBS, his is an NBS, all right? I have a Gen 4 motor, and I'm pretty sure he has a Gen 3 4.8. And the Gen 3 4.8s are a little weaker. The Gen 4's got the better rods and whatnot, and are capable of more horsepower. But being that we are both around the 500 to 600 horsepower range, it doesn't matter for either or. So on that comparison, there's no advantage really, unless we're pushing, you know, upwards of 700, 800, 900 horsepower, which I would have the advantage. Mine is an extended cab. His is a single cab, a regular cab, which brings me to the next advantage, disadvantage, or whatever. His truck weighs 4,840 pounds with him in it. My truck weighs right around 5350 with me in it. And that right there is about, I'll put the numbers up on the screen, roughly 500 pounds, and that's worth about a half a second. So right there, that's a huge advantage going to LT. Also, all-wheel drive versus two-wheel drive, that seems to be the area of focus. Putting the power down. His truck is a rocket out of the hole. You know, all-wheel drive that makes instant torque because it's an LSA supercharger. I think he makes like around 400 whatever foot-pounds of torque right at like 3,000 RPMs, maybe even lower. And that right there, with the combination of being all-wheel drive, gets him out of the hole pretty quick. Now, two-wheel drive. I spent a lot. You know, I make about 600 or so horsepower on a good day, but I spent a lot. That brings me to one of the next points, rear gear ratio. His truck is running a 4.3, 430s in the rear. He's got a lot of mechanical leverage as far as torque goes versus my 323. Another comparison, he's running a 4L60 in his truck, which has a 3.06 first gear, and I'm running a turbo 400, which has a 2.48 first gear. Now, again, torque multiplication. His first gear, he's putting down, what I say, about 4 or 5, maybe even 600 foot-pounds of torque. You multiply that by his first gear ratio, which is 3.06, and then you also multiply that by his rear gear, which is 4.3. Now, 0 to 60 time. His truck runs a 0 to 60 in my truck, not too far off, you know, but my truck runs a 0 to 60 in this. And that's with a lot of spinning, starting out around 4,000, 4,200 RPMs, and continues all the way to 7,000 RPMs. So, where I shine, where the truck shines, is on the back half of the track. In the 8th mile, no doubt, I do think he's got the advantage being all-wheel drive, having a 430 rear gear, and an LSA supercharger. Like I said, a great all-around build truck. So I'm gonna go ahead and give the 8th mile to LT. That's my prediction. Now, the 1/4 mile, it's a different story. As long as I can play catch up, I think we would come pretty close at the 1/4 mile mark. I'm hoping anyway, because we both make about the same amount of horsepower. His dyno at 530 horsepower, but
basically the IATs were creeping up a fair amount, and on top of that, I only had 55% ethanol in the tank. So
he was leaving some timing on the table. So if he had more of an ethanol content, so he'd probably have those 6 degrees of timing, which I'm counting on when we race. So put 580, 590 horsepower, 600, 609. It's anybody's race, really. Now, on a roll race, it might be a different story. Roll race takes a lot of the 60-foot, you know, the 8th mile or whatnot. It takes all that out of the equation. If we were to do a 40 to 80 roll race, and we're both, you know, right there at 40 miles an hour, and then we take off. It's gonna be a good race. You guys stay tuned. We're still trying to figure out if we can put the power down to the ground, because that's what matters. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one, and stay tuned for this race, because it's gonna be a good one.